Today we're going to recap the film Escape Room: Tournament of Champions. It's a survival thriller about 6 people playing a game of death. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and let's get started. The film starts with a recap of Escape Room, which is the prequel to this movie. That recap concludes with the 2 survivors of Zoe and Ben sitting in a restaurant and talking. Zoe explains to Ben that the game's creators are still out there somewhere, and all the participants have been killed except for those 2. She shows the logo of Minos. The organization that conducts these games are coordinated in Manhattan. They want to reveal the truth of the game to everyone. No one should ever fall prey to them. Back in 2003, a taxi arrived and a mother and her daughter, Claire, entered the house. Claire asks her mom, when can she see her dad? But her mother refuses by stating that her father, Henry, is busy working. The mother then enters Henry's office and tells him that they need to talk. But her husband, who is meeting the deadline to finish his work, says not now. She says that she has made up her mind and wants to end their relationship. Henry asks, "Are you going to take my daughter from me?" and asks for 1 hour so they can talk through this once he finishes his work. She leaves the room and swims for a while. Claire opens a suitcase-like box and puts her toys, lollipop and umbrella inside that box. Her mother goes into the steam room after her swim, and the room door suddenly gets locked. She panics and tells Henry that she's not playing this game and asks him to let her out. The temperature of the steam room is getting hotter. She apologizes to Henry, who is nowhere to be found in the area, and tells him that she will do whatever he asks her to. Suddenly, the steam hits the glass in front of her, and in that glass, a riddle. She thinks and finds the answer. She searches for a rock. She gets the rock, and it has a magnet. She tries to open the doorknob by using the magnet, and there are 3 doorknobs. When she tries to open the 3rd doorknob, she loses and lays down in the room and dies. Back to the present day. Zoe and Ben are sitting in an airport. Ben suggests getting out of the place, but Zoe says that she has to do this because Minos killed people. Ben, having no choice, follows her to getting onto the flight. Henry, in his place, asks Hensler, an employee, how their daughter is, and he replies that she's okay. He's hiding a USB flash drive in his hand. Henry enters the room, and there Claire sits inside the glass room and mentions that the work is done. She gives a USB drive to her father and suggests that it's a bad idea to kill Zoe, and she's not ready yet. As Zoe and Ben are entering the boarding area to their flight, she has flashes of the flight accident that she was in when she was young. She says, "I can't do it," and leaves the airport. Ben follows her. They were in a hotel, and Zoe goes into the restroom, and suddenly, Zoe yells that the door is locked and that she can't get out. But the ceiling of the room that Ben was in suddenly starts falling and crushes Ben. Ben suddenly wakes up and realizes that it's a bad nightmare that he had. Ben and Zoe find the building where the coordinates are pointed. They were trying to get in, and a man appears there, and he says that he can help him get in there, and suddenly snatches Zoe's compass-like locket and runs. They both chase him and end up in a train station. The guy tricks both of them by getting in and out of the train, getting them locked inside the train. On the train, 5 other people are sitting inside. Suddenly, a strange sound comes, and Zoe looks into the conductor's cabin. But there is no conductor there. The train starts splitting, and the compartment that they were in suddenly changes tracks. A lady tried to pull the brake, but the brake came off. The train hits an obstacle, and everybody falls. A guy hits a button and asks for help. The automated voice answers that if you found a suspicious package, return it to an MTA employee. Ben finds out that Minos found them, and the other one asks, "Have you just said Minos?" The 6 people on the train have already played and won the game. A lady asks, "Is this a tournament of champions?" Suddenly, a sound comes on, and the whole compartment gets electrified. Zoe touches the pole and gets shocked. They find a suspicious bag that has a towel in there. A lady finds a way out, but is trapped and needs a clue to open it. And there they find the subway token slot. And there's a sign that says, "All false advertising must be pooled." They immediately check for any false advertising in the compartment. Zoe asks how many handles the compartment has, and a lady answers 26, mentioning the English alphabet. Zoe suggests pulling the handles, referring to the sign, "All false advertising must be pooled." They tear the leather from the bag and pull the handles. A coin of the letter C came out of the handle. Zoe puts the coin in, and the count reduces in the token slot. The number gets reduced to 7. And now they have the letters A, M, and K, but suddenly, the electricity intensity increases. Everybody falls and sticks to the ground. Ben collects the token and puts it in the slot. They need another 3 letters, and a guy says that he found another missing letter. Suddenly, a current hits him, and he dies. Ben asks Zoe, and she says the missing letters are W, K, O. mentioning the phrase, "Welcome back." Ben gets the tokens and puts them in the slot. The way out opens, and everybody except the dead guy enters, ending up in an elevator. Everybody introduces themselves with their name as Brianna, Nate, Rachel, Ben, and Zoe. The elevator stops, and they enter into a place designed like a bank with a vault that's left open. Brianna takes one step ahead, and once she steps on a tile, a pattern of lasers are triggered, slightly hitting Brianna. Nate and Rachel help Brianna step off the tile, and after she steps off, the lasers get deactivated. Nate finds some keys inside the lollipops, and Zoe suggests getting the key and using it to open the lockers. Zoe and Ben try to open the lockers using the key they got. Brianna and Rachel find another key, and then try to open the lockers on the other side. A voice message to enter the PIN on the ATM is suddenly heard, and Nate asks for the PIN. Zoe found a box called Sonia and opens it, and suddenly, sharp diamonds start falling from it. Zoe tries to pick up a diamond and cuts her finger. Brianna and Rachel also find a Sonia box, and in there are some blank bills. Zoe finds that applying blood on the bills can give some clues, and as she suspected, a bill displayed a PIN of 0526. She asks Nate to try that, and it works. The clocks in the bank stop moving at 12:09 in New York, 3:02 in London, and 12:03 in Shanghai. Nate got another clue in the ATM, which was a riddle, and finds that 12 o'clock is straight and 3 o'clock is right, referring to the clock angle, and minutes are steps. As per the clue, Nate tries to walk on the tiles on that pattern and leaves lollipops to reference the others. When Nate finished with his steps, he stopped, and a box near Brianna opened. It consists of a lock that requires a combination of numbers. The tile Nate's standing on gives another clue, and everyone tries to find out what the clue is. But Nate tries to walk and steps on the wrong tile, activating the laser, and he goes unconscious. But Brianna finds that she needs to turn the lock, and there's a map in it. Zoe tries to match the map with another map in the wall and direct the others. Ben carries Nate as he's unconscious, and they pass the tiles one by one. As Zoe gets close to the door, the laser also gets near, but Zoe reaches the exit before it closes successfully. After that, they end up in a beach-like setup with a lighthouse and a Polaroid camera. Brianna captures a photo with it and gets a photo with the clue, "Drop the anchor." All start to search for clues. Rachel finds something, and Ben finds another part of it. It was a metal detector. When they use that to find any metal, they found an anchor beneath the sand. They try to get the anchor, which was stuck, and they suddenly start sinking. Ben tries to get the anchor, but Rachel sinks into the sand. Nate tries to help her with the rope, but he saves Rachel by sinking himself into the sand and dies. They got the anchor and attach it to a door, and then they find a refrigerator. They tried to open that and found that a power socket was missing. Zoe tries to find something in the lighthouse and finds a way out, but Ben finds the power socket in the dummy, and he also finds the way out. Zoe claims that the way she found is the way out, so Rachel and Ben follow her. Brianna enters the way through the refrigerator. Rachel and Ben try to climb the lighthouse, but Ben falls and sinks into the sand. Zoe and Rachel get out through the way that Zoe found. Zoe and Rachel climb up the tunnel and hear the sound of a siren. As they thought they got out, Brianna came from the other way. Zoe recalls that they are still in the game. Brianna explains to the other two that it rains acid and tells them to find a key. The three of them are trying to find the key, and they eventually do. They use the key to open a shutter and realize that they need another key. They use the TV playing as another clue and find a bottle that will not melt in acid. They pour the acid to break a lock in the phone booth, and Zoe goes out searching for a clue. The phone rings again, and Zoe asks them to pick it up at the third ring. As they picked up the phone, the cab door opened and Zoe went in. When the other two try to get in, the door gets closed. They both stood there in the acid rain, dying. The bottom of the cab opens, and Zoe falls down. An employee tells Henry that there's a malfunction in the code, and he finds the USB drive that Hensler brought. Zoe was left in front of Claire, and she explained to Zoe who she is. Zoe finds the clues are based on Claire and her mother, Sonia. Claire tells Zoe that she saved Ben, but Henry's men found Ben and put him in the steam room where Claire's mother died. Claire says she needs to get out of there to her father's computer to save Ben. Zoe helps Claire out, thereby solving the puzzle in front of her and opening Claire's door. Henry suddenly arrives there with a gun, but Hensler shoots Henry and lets Claire and Zoe out to find Henry's computer. Claire finds and overrides the code to save Ben, and she successfully saves him. Claire gives Zoe her dad's car keys, and Zoe goes to the building where Ben was and finds him. They both leave the building in an ambulance. Claire comes down to her father and says that he stole everything from her and reveals to him her true nature, that she killed her mom in the steam room to impress her father. But Henry didn't give her credit and stole all of the credit. She says goodbye to her dad by initiating the purge and letting her father die. And that's it for today's recap of the film Escape Room, Tournament of Champions. We certainly hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did like it, smash that like button and subscribe to this channel to stay up to date with the latest and exciting videos.